Welcome to our overview of Garmin's guided visual procedures. As you may have experienced, visual approaches can be more of a challenge than instrument approaches because, well, the available guidance is pretty limited. With most flight management systems, there isn't any guidance to keep us on an appropriate lateral path, and vertical path guidance is limited to PAPIs or VASIs. This can lead to less than desired flight paths at times. If you've flown with some of the more recent Garmin avionics offerings, such as the GTN-XI, G1000NXI, G3000, or G5000 systems, you're likely aware that you can load a visual approach that provides a straight course line extending out from the landing runway and provides advisory vertical guidance along its path. These are great for providing lateral alignment with the runway, and they do provide vertical guidance as well. But as the notice states when loading these visual approaches, terrain and obstacle clearance is not assured. Now, taking a further step to improve guidance for visual approaches, Garmin brings you guided visuals. These approaches can be loaded into your flight plan just like any other approach. You'll find them in the list of available approaches. All of the guided visuals are listed with RNAV, the runway number, and G in the title, making them easy to locate. You'll typically be provided with multiple selections for a transition to the approach, so just select the most appropriate transition based on your current position. These approaches function in the same manner as many LNAV approaches, with lateral guidance to multiple waypoints and Garmin's advisory vertical guidance. All of the lateral and vertical waypoints are programmed into the database, allowing you to fly these with flight director guidance if hand-flown or coupled to the autopilot. You activate these approaches the same as with any other type of approach. The guided visual approach course will appear on your map, and you'll see a top of descent indicator, marked as TOD, on the course line. Altitude constraints can be observed in the flight plan next to each of the approach waypoints. The ones shown here have a line below the numbers, indicating that you can go no lower than those altitudes at each waypoint. With a Garmin display, such as the TXI, you can observe lateral guidance on the HSI and vertical guidance next to the altimeter tape. Keeping the magenta chevron centered keeps you on the charted vertical path. A magenta chevron on the VSI tape provides you with a target descent rate. To provide for briefing these approaches, Garmin makes guided visual charts available through our flight charts database. These charts appear much like typical instrument approach charts. You can select to view these charts on the procedure loading page by selecting the chart button. Guided visual approaches will typically have 2 pages, so we'll take a look at both of those here. When viewing approach charts on a GTN 750, select the full button to make viewing the page a bit easier. The data bar at the top of the chart reads like a typical instrument approach chart, providing frequencies and airport elevation data. The plan view provides information on the multiple entry points to the procedure, so you would just pick the one that best aligns with your arrival into the area. You'll also see a minimum safe altitude for the sector and minimum safe altitudes along legs. A number of these guided visual approaches include constant radius arcs, as seen here. These are radius to fix, or RF legs. Most of the more recent Garmin navigators are capable of providing guidance for RF legs. However, you should check with your Garmin dealer to ensure that your system is capable and that the RF feature has been enabled. Near the bottom of these charts, you'll see a profile panel, providing you with altitude targets at each waypoint and the final segments of the approach. Since this is a visual approach, the only minimums you'll see is to maintain VFR at all times during the approach. Selecting to view page 2 of the chart, be sure to review the notes. As it states, these are not instrument approaches. These approaches are only to be used in visual meteorological conditions to aid you in executing a stabilized approach. ATC has no awareness of these procedures. If they clear you for a visual approach, they expect you to manage the approach visually, so telling them you are conducting the RNAV-G to runway 15 may introduce some confusion. Once cleared for the visual, you're allowed to use any means available to arrive visually, including using these guided visual approaches. Again, these guided visual procedures are designed to help you navigate into some particularly challenging airports, whether the challenge is due to crowded airspace or due to terrain and obstacles. These approaches are another tool in your kit that provides for ease of navigation and the potential for improved flight safety. Guided visual approaches are available through an enhanced version of the Garmin navigation database as a premium subscription. You'll be able to subscribe to the enhanced database alone or to a package that provides both the database and the charts. Note that there are currently 31 guided visual approaches available in the US. Additional guided approaches will be developed primarily based on input from pilots, so if you'd like to see an approach developed for a particularly challenging airport, check out the description of this video. We provided a link to Garmin's Guided Visual Procedures webpage, where you'll find an email link for submitting approach requests, along with a link to the Fly Garmin website, where you can subscribe to obtain the Garmin Guided Visuals database and charts, either as one pack or as a standalone database. We thank you for investing your time into learning about this new advanced feature for Garmin avionics, and thank you for flying Garmin.